Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode. This week, I want to share with you something that has changed my life, literally. And this is something in the past that I have only shared with clients, but because it has been so powerful for me, I have decided to share it with all of you as well, because this can make such a big difference in dealing with stress in your life and even dealing with the fact that you can't sleep. It can make your experience of that better, different in a better way, so that you aren't necessarily miserable just because you can't sleep. So this is really about rewiring your brain and changing your thoughts so that you can change your experience and even be able to sleep better because of it. So first, I want to point out that what's so interesting is that our thoughts actually affect our genes. So there's this new branch of study called epigenetics that looks at all of this, but it is estimated that health issues are caused by 5% of genetic SNPs, and that the other 95% are actually caused by our external environment. So our lifestyle, our diet, how much we exercise, and our emotional states, which is determined by our thoughts. So our thoughts matter so much to our health and, of course, to our experience of life, right? The more positive we are, the more we're going to enjoy life. But the more positive we are, also the healthier we're going to be. How crazy is that? So I want to share this tool with you that is called the thought model. And this was invented by Brooke Castillo of the Life Coach School. And so it is this concept that there are circumstances in the world that are neutral. They aren't good or bad. They are just things that happen that we can't control. They are facts, right? So, and I'm going to give an example of this in a minute, but the idea is that the circumstances are neutral. Once we have a thought about those circumstances, that's when it becomes good or bad, or maybe stays neutral. And then those thoughts produce feelings. Those feelings determine the actions that we take or don't take. And then those actions determine our results. So this is actually the truth of the universe. Like, this is how things work. But Brooke Castillo came up with this brilliant way of explaining it so that we can use these things to change. And so it's the idea that if we aren't getting certain results we want, say not sleeping well, then it's partly because of our thoughts about it. Now, you know that I really dive into also the physiological imbalances that keep us from sleeping well. So it's not all about our thoughts, but our thoughts play a huge role because they affect our health, because they affect our mood. So let's give an example of how this actually works. So let's say that the circumstance is you slept 3 hours last night. Now, I'm sure you're immediately like, yeah, that's horrible, right? That's what any of us with sleep struggles, that is what we would think if we only slept 3 hours. But I want to point out that this is actually neutral. It is just a fact that you slept 3 hours. There are times in the past, or I know that other people have chosen to only sleep 3 hours. Let's say you are up all night partying. Let's say you are in a new relationship. My business coach told me one time that she stayed up till 5 a.m. reading a book. I was blown away. Any of us with sleep struggles would never do that. But sometimes people choose to sleep 3 hours. And so I'm pointing this out to show you that this is just a fact. It is neutral. But when you think the thoughts after it, so if you think, this is terrible, and it usually spirals into, there's something wrong with me. What am I going to do about this? I don't know what to do. I'm out of control, right? So whatever thought that is for you, but most of us are going to think, this is terrible. I'm exhausted. There's something wrong. And then that is going to determine how you feel. So You're probably going to feel frustrated. You're going to feel anxious. You're actually going to feel more exhausted if you're thinking this. And then those feelings determine how you act. So likely what you're going to do is worry about sleep all day, think about sleep all day, tell everyone how tired you are, research about sleep, order the next supplement that you think might help, right? They're a little different for everyone, but we have all these actions based on how we're feeling. And a lot of these things are actually going to sabotage your sleep, especially if you're worrying about sleep, you're thinking about sleep, you're complaining about how tired you are. So the result is that you probably aren't going to sleep well the next night either, because you've spent all this time with these negative thoughts, with these negative feelings, doing these negative things. So the idea then is to turn that thought around. Now, I do want to point out that we're never going to not have these thoughts, right? Like our default thinking is usually going to be negative. So we have what's called a negativity bias as part of human nature, where if you think about it in evolutionary terms, when we were cavemen, we needed to know the one poisonous plant more than we needed to know the 20 plants that were edible. So our brains really focus on the negative, the bad thing, because that is what helped us survive throughout evolution, throughout the past tens of thousands of years. And so it's normal that our brain is going to go to the negative. We can't necessarily change the first thought that comes into our head, but we can start to see how those thoughts aren't serving us and then work on changing the thought. So let's say that the circumstance is you slept 3 hours. Now, you also don't have to go to the extreme opposite. Like instead of it being, this is terrible, you don't have to go to, this is great, right? That's not believable to your brain, likely, unless you do think it was great. So sometimes a more neutral thought can really help. And one that's really worked for me is, okay, no big deal. And then that makes me feel really calm. The opposite of frustrated and anxious. I feel calm. I feel hopeful. I feel in control. One of the worst things about not sleeping is feeling so out of control. And so when I tell myself this is no big deal, then it becomes not a big deal. I feel very calm. And then what am I going to do? I'm not really going to think about sleep that much. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to take care of myself, rest when I need to, take a little nap if I need to. And I'm going to focus on other things that are more important, like family or work or having fun. And so then what's going to happen as a result of that is that I'm probably going to sleep better, or at least I'm not going to be sabotaging my sleep by having these negative thoughts. So this is definitely a practice. Right? And this is something that you can do. Like this is something I do every morning. I do it more for my business and work than anything, but yeah, I write out this model every morning. Okay. What is the circumstance that I'm thinking about? What are my thoughts about it? What are my feelings about it? And what am I going to do? And then what's my result going to be? And there's something about writing it down, getting it all out, and your brain sees, oh, this thought is not helping me. This is not going to help me have a good day. It's not going to help me, help the people who I want to help. And so, or for you, it's not going to help you sleep better to have these negative thoughts. So, and sometimes I kind of go backwards into, okay, how do I want to feel during the day? And then what thought is going to support that? And so then every time your mind goes to, this is terrible, I'm so tired, something's wrong with me, you just turn it around. You just remember the thought that you wanted to think. This is no big deal. I will figure this out no matter what. I'm just going to take care of myself today. Whatever it is that resonates with you. So it's this rewiring of your brain where so far the negative has been, wired over and over and over again. It's like a highway in your brain. It's smooth sailing. It's your brain's fastest way to think. And so it is going to take some effort at first. It's like building a dirt road from scratch to think these new thoughts. But the more you think it, the smoother that road's going to get. And eventually it's going to get paved, and eventually it's going to be a highway. And then you're more likely for these positive thoughts to be your default thinking. Then you're more likely to sleep better. You're going to be healthier. You're going to problem solve of how to figure this out from a place of calm instead of from a place of anxiety and panic and trying the cheapest thing you can find out there and praying and hoping it will work. So you can use this thought model for anything, right? Like this can be used for weight loss, for relationships, for anything you're having negative thoughts about or negative results about. This can be used for. So if you're interested in more of this work, this is definitely something that we do with our clients. But sometimes people want, more in-depth and meeting with a coach regularly. So hiring a life coach, I highly recommend it. It's life-changing, literally. And it's different than therapy, in that therapy a lot of times is focused on the past. Life coaching is focused on, again, rewiring your brain and focused on the future of how you want to feel, what you want your life to be like. And so I'm going to put some of these resources in the show notes as well. Brooke Castillo of the Life Coach School has an amazing podcast called the Life Coach School Podcast. And she also has a program called Scholars, where you can sign up for $300 a month and be coached, have a private coaching session every week. And also she has tons of resources for over drinking and overeating and making more money and all kinds of personal development things, I guess you could say. So I would highly recommend looking into this if this is resonating with you. But I just do want you to know that changing your thoughts and working on this can help you sleep better. And it can also change your experience of not sleeping well. And this is true for me. Every now and then now I have a weird night's sleep where I don't sleep as well. And I just think the next day, it's no big deal. And then it doesn't spiral into this chronic insomnia because I'm freaking out about it. That's definitely what used to happen to me. So again, get in touch if this is something you're interested in. I'll give you resources. And if you are looking for getting to the bottom of your insomnia, that's also what we can help you with functional lab testing, with looking at the physical health imbalances that you don't even know are there that are affecting your sleep. But we're also going to work with you on stress and on your thoughts about sleep as well. So you are always welcome to book a consultation with me to talk about the program and see if you're a good fit. All right. I will talk to you next week.